Hello and welcome to Fare Thee Well, a short kinetic novel by Watercress Studios, and, well, a short one on Steam and itch.io. Apparently it takes place on a snowy night in the winter of 1967. So, let's get started. Fare Thee Well. The story of a lonely man. A wanderer, a wayfarer, a stranger, and the sleepy town he found in the snow. One winter night, December 1967. I am a lone wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. But there's no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright land to which I go. The strong winter wind beats down all around me. I pull my coat ever closer. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there no more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. Down the road I walked, covered in cold snow. I've no one to meet and nowhere to go. I know dark clouds will gather around me. I know my way is rough and steep. But golden fields light out before me, where God's redeemed shall ever sleep. Well, I need to find somewhere better than this. I can't feel a thing. I'm going there to see my mother. She says she'd meet me when I come. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. Suddenly, I see light in the bleak midwinter. A small town nestled deep in the woods. Asleep, dreaming the passage of time. All except for one single brick building, its windows glowing with light, beacons for the lost. I see it's a bar, dimly, I'm not sure. I'm assuming dimly. A dimly lit sign flickers above the entrance. On it is a name emblazoned in pale golden letters. The Hearth and Home. It'll do. I push past the door and enter and out of the snowy night. Once inside, I take off my gloves and rub my hands together for warmth. It takes too long to feel my fingers again. I close my tired eyes and take in the sounds of the bar. It's busier than I expect in a town like this. There's a low murmur dispersed in the air. Some people are here in groups, and many are, like me, alone. It's good to see people again. I slip my gloves into my coat and take a seat. A bartender spots me from behind a row of drying glasses and approaches. Evening. Beer, please. I only order it so I can stay. Well, you gotta buy something if you want to be in the bar. The bartender fills a glass from the tap. Traveling through? He places the drink in front of me. The liquid in the glass shines like oil under the pale, mellow lights of the bar. Yeah. How'd he know that? I drink it all at once. I bring some fire back into my blood. Did he know that just by looking, or? Can't say I know what business brought you here. Well, how do you know I'm not traveling for pleasure? Pleasure doesn't come this far north this time of year. I guess it is like winter time. I guess it's not really much of a resort, this town, so maybe that's why. I smirk. Well, maybe I got lost. Well, maybe you did. He takes my glass and steps away. I take a glance out of the window while he's gone. The night is black and thick with snow. I should stay a while longer. I won't let up soon. Cedar, Maine. Did I say it? Cedar, Maine? Population? A little over 2,000. I was able to make out the sign off the highway exit before the storm got too bad. Originally, I meant to make it all the way to the other side. Hitchhiking got harder after sunset. When it got too cold to be outside, I headed off to the road to the nearest place I could find. This place wasn't too bad, reminded me of simpler times. I'll stay here for the night, not that I have a choice. It feels nice just to sit for a change. Sometimes you move so much you feel like you're not the only one, or you feel like you're not the one moving anymore, rather. Like you're drifting. Sometimes though, it's fine, when I can just stop and let things pass me by. After a while, I notice a change in the air. The curtain of small talk lowers into silence. The clicking of plates and glasses melts away. A small crowd begins to form in one corner of the bar. I walk over to get a look at what's going on and watch as someone gets up onto a small, unlit stage. It's a girl. A girl in a green dress is about to sing. The girl gazes with her deep brown eyes at the expectant faces all around her. A hush falls over the crowd as she leans into the microphone. Her face betrays not a single emotion, but pure wonder. It's almost as she is somewhere else, remembering better times, preparing to sing to herself in a world that stood still, hanging off her every word. He begins softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Bayan Bonnie Banks. Bayan Bonnie Brays. Okay, probably this is a real song, I don't know it though. Where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond. I know this song. For me and my true love will never meet again. On the bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Of course I know this song. I don't know. Me personally, I don't. The small birds they sing and the wildflowers spring. In sunshine the waters are sleeping. But the broken-hearted can know no second spring again. For the woeful may cease from their grieving. You'll take the high road and I'll take the low road. And I'll be in Scotland before you. But me and my true love will never meet again. On the bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond? And after her how you say that? Redemption? No. Why am I saying it wrong? After her rendition. Why can't I say this word? Rendition. After singing Loch Lomond, the girl continues to perform, singing various other folk songs. The audience continues to be mesmerized by every movement of her parted lips. The bar is eerily silent, and not a single person dare move. Loch Lomond, I guess that's a song. Her voice is magical, perhaps the most beautiful I've ever heard in all my life. I've never been this absorbed in song before. Yes, she's a good singer. The voice of the girl in the green dress grows and grows and grows, only to fill the air with complete emotion, feelings seething with energy. Like her voice is an endless flowing spring, and to listen to it is to drink and drink again. I never felt this way before. I doubt I will again. When she finally finishes her set, the girl in the green dress takes a fateful step back from the microphone. Her skin beads of sweat, her chest heaves up and down to the rhythmic beat of her exhausted heart. Her posture is tired but proud, her breath short but steady, her eyes somber but bright, vibrant with fire. As I watch her in this precious little moment of silence, it seems all time stops. The sheer intensity of this moment breaks over me like a cold ocean wave. The sadness I feel at its impermanence, its immediate beginning and end, pulls me under. I am washed in fascination. In that moment, the passage of time resumes. It flows unhindered, ignorant that so much change had just taken place in my inner cell in that brief window of frozen time. That change in my heart has just set forth in motion a long, long story. One that will not end for a very long time. A story about meeting people and saying goodbye to people. A story about arrivals and departures. A story about time. I sit alone for a while, taking this all in. After I regain my senses, I shake myself off and return to my seat at the bar. I see someone's cleared my glass from the counter. The bartender spots me out of the corner of his eye and comes on over. Another? I might be staying here longer than I thought. Just one. The man fulfills my request, pouring another glassful of the amber drink and placing it down before me. He takes a look around the bar as he wipes some washed plates. The sink isn't too far from my seat, and he can talk to me while he works. Busy night tonight? Busier than usual? Much? So even this counts as much busier than usual. This must be a smaller town than I originally thought. The girl helps? The bartender nods knowingly. Oh, the girl helps. Is she a real singer? I suppose any singer is a real one, but no, she's not a professional. You never afford someone like that. And what is she? Oh, she's young. About your age. About my age. One of those student types. A student? All the way out here? The bartender doesn't seem to take offense on my jab at his hometown. I don't know. She's been in town about a month now. Stays in a motel across the bridge. Usually we don't have music, but she's willing to work for cheap. She's good. Oh, she's affordable. I take a sip of my beer. From the bartender's description, the girl in the green dress seems interesting. I like to talk to her if I can. You let people talk to her after her sets? He seems incredibly unsurprised. Yeah, she probably has a lot of fans. No, but you seem like a nice enough guy, so go ahead. I warn you though, no one's lasted long in a conversation with her. I take a bigger sip and cock my head. Why's that? Well, seems to be she's an ice queen. She's polite enough, just doesn't say very much. Doesn't want to open up to anyone about anything. That kind of girl. You know, that cliche stereotype? No. What, a bartender who's too shy to talk to people? In the flesh. Of all the thoughts that crossed my mind while she was on stage, I didn't once imagine her to be shy. Oh, yes, well, I mean, when you think about it, you know, not all performers are like super extroverted people, like, I was gonna say people persons? No, that's people, I guess, is the correct way you would say that, anyway. But, actually, a lot of performers are, like, you know, they're also, like, shy off stage as well. It doesn't necessarily mean if, they're, like, super famous or anything. Well, I guess this girl isn't, like, super famous or anything, but, it doesn't mean that they're, you know, like, the same way off stage. Depends on their personality. Anyway. It must take a lot of courage to get up there and sing. So she's brave on the outside, but what's on the inside? What makes her shy? There must be something hidden in all this. Well, you see, it's a, charm point. I'm far too interested to back out now. I finish off my drink to the last drop. I think I'll take my chances. You tread a dangerous path. Then he nodded at something behind me. There she is now. Go ahead before she leaves. I take out some money and tuck it under my glass as payment and stand up from my seat. Your sacrifice will be remembered throughout all northern Maine. Out of the darkness and the crowd, I spot the girl in the green dress making her way toward the door. She's tugging the sides of her coat tight around her, like she's trying to make herself look as small as she can. I wave her over before she can leave. She sees me and stares at me blankly while I approach her. She seems surprised. That's her, that's the girl. Gosh, she's beautiful. Can't take my eyes off of her. I mean, I guess. Absolutely breathtaking. I guess our main character is infatuated. But she's not saying a word. You're not gonna want to leave for a while. There's a big snowstorm raging outside. Dot dot dot. Alright, thank you. Off to a bad start? Actually, I was wondering if I could talk with you for a moment. It can only get worse from here. The girl in the green dress takes a moment to digest all of this. Then she raises her eyebrows like she's confused but doesn't want to admit it. What do you want to talk about? Well, about things. It got worse from here. God, I've not done this in so long. The girl visibly recoils. I think she's trying to hold back laughter. I shake my head and smile. Time to try again. Here, what I meant is this. I listened to you sing up on the stage. You really have a pretty voice. I'd like to talk to you about your singing. If you'll have me, that is. I think I did better this time. I think. Oh no. The girl stares at me for a little while longer. I'm helpless to gauge how her reaction will be. Then of all things, she smiles. Well, no one's ever asked me about my singing before. Really? I mean... I thought the bartender mentioned that not a lot of people would ask her to talk to her after she finished singing. I don't know. You think she'd have, even though this is a small town, you think since she's brought many patrons into the bar, she would have some fans. Do they not talk about her singing? Or maybe they just want to flirt with her. Maybe that's why. Success. I'm honored to break tradition. Even though we're kind of doing the same thing too, so like, not any better. Oh well. The girl lets out a small snigger. She lets go of the sides of her coat and rests her hands meekly at her sides. Hi. I'm Emmalin. Emmalin? Emmalin. Good evening, Emmalin. Let me buy you a drink. I turn to be beside her and begin to lead her toward the bar. I haven't spoken to people like this in a long time. I wonder what's come over me. I'm finding it so easy, natural even. Like I'm acting out my own life, not observing it. Must be something in the air. You two good for now? Yeah, thanks. Yes. Alright. Once the two of us are alone, I raise my glass and Emmalin hers. They sound together like a definite clink. Cheers. Cheers. Emmalin eagerly raises her glass to her lips and sips away. You have expensive taste in alcohol. She shrugs. Just for tonight. Smart. Silently, we drink to our healths. Afterward, follow brief introductions. I learn Emmalin is 22, and I tell her I'm 25. You look much younger than 25. I get that a lot. We start to get to know each other a little better. Me, a professional singer? No? Not even close. Well, I'm sorry to have assumed. No, singing's just a passion of mine. I've liked it since I was a kid, and I do it when I can for money. It's nothing serious. If it's a passion of yours, then it's nothing serious. It's not what I went to school for, is what I mean. What did you go to school for? I was studying to become a nurse. I wasn't interested in or anything, but it was safe. There's still lots of people out there who don't like to see educated women. This seems personal. I hope I'm not prying. What was this take place? 1967? I guess, yeah. I guess society still views it like that. I don't know. I'm bad at contextualizing history like that. Anyway, and you've graduated? No. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened? Well, I'm not sure you want to get into it. I don't know what your politics are. Well, I don't really involve myself in that. I don't keep myself too current. I don't have any strong opinions if that's what you're worried about. I'm listening. Anything you can think of to say, you can say, and I'll listen. Well, I was expelled from school for protesting the war. War is going on in 1967. Thinking... Well, expelled from school for taking part in peaceful protests? That can't be allowed. Oh, it wasn't too peaceful in the end. Now, that explains it. It does. We stop to sip our drinks, and I mull over in my mind what to say next. Well, I'm sorry to have pried. Emmalin's face softened. Really, it's fine. Nice to get to talk about it with someone. I take it there aren't too many new opportunities to talk to people here in the Cedar? Not here, no. Can I ask how you ended up here? You could, but it's not a fun story. You can imagine my parents weren't very big fans of my explosion. Figured. They were livid, engorged with rage. You think they were gonna eat me, they were so angry. Like they were gonna lock me up in a cellar and bury the key. While she's talking, her voice becomes strained. Obviously, this is reopening old wounds for her. I feel bad for bringing it up now. They start pressuring me to find a husband. Show me off to any rich young man or family friends who came by, trying to convince me to give myself up and marry a complete stranger. Made me feel like I was a hunk of meat being peddled in some marketplace. To them, my failure had branded me a commodity. I'd become a damaged good. Something to be sold off. My value to be measured in nothing but the children I would bear. I couldn't take it. I absolutely couldn't live like that. So you took off? You could tell. You seemed the type. This makes Emmalin loosen up again, but only a little. That's good. I have to try and help her feel better. I hope I didn't spoil her night. I'll go ahead and take that as a compliment. Good. It was meant as one. I hadn't meant to bring up bad memories. And like I said, it's fine. It's nice to finally be able to talk to someone about it. It's all been bottled up so long. I know how you feel. You can keep going if you like. Well, the rest of it is a lot of the same. I packed up some clothes and some books and snuck out in the middle of the night. I stayed in the city a while, with friends and the like. Figured it was the safest way. After some time, though, I knew I had to get farther away than that. Somewhere my parents wouldn't find me. So I ran. And I ran. No, I wandered from place to place. Took cabs and buses when I could. Walked when I couldn't. Hitchhiked when I absolutely needed to. It wasn't too safe, and as a girl I had to be careful. But I was smart. Kept my eyes open, and it's taken me this far. Now, how far is this far? Far enough. But? I don't know. I called my parents a few times, just to let them know I was still alive. I'm a good girl like that. At first, they were even more fierce than they've been while I was at home. They threatened to call the police after me. Threatened me when I said I wouldn't come home. And after some time, as I got farther and farther from home, as I was gone for longer and longer, they started to soften up. Outrage turned to bold resentment. Resentment turned to disappointment. Disappointment turned to sadness. Turned to regret. Turned to apology. Turned to the dark side. No. Turned them to begging me to come home. Emmalin looked visibly shaken. I felt so bad for her. But I knew how she felt. I knew how to let her finish. It's been more than 2 years since I left home. They started begging by the end of the first year. I couldn't take it, so I stopped calling them. I haven't spoken to them since. Emmalin gazes into her reflection, caught on the polish of her empty glass, warm under the dim bar lights. The night has gone on and many have left. Everything's quieter now. Everything's moving softer, going slower, like the night has entered into a dreamlike state. I place a hand on Emmalin's shoulder softly. I want to comfort her. You don't want to go home? No, I do. Believe me. This sort of life gets tiring after a while. Having no safety, no security, always needing to move from place to place. Searching for warmth every single night and praying every single morning you'll be able to find work and to feed yourself. It drains you. Takes a lot away and makes you lose your sense of place. When you can't ever stay one place too long, it feels like everything in your life has a time limit set on it. It ticks away, and I couldn't care less about what you want. Time runs out, and one by one, everything in your life melts away. The people you meet, the things you gain, the sights you see, they leave, and you're left with nothing again. And do you know what you do then? Oh yeah. You start over. You feel like you don't have any control over anything. You're not even the person living your life. You feel like you're only sitting back and watching events unfold, like you're an observer from the outside, looking in on yourself. Emmalin seems surprised. Looks like I've understood her perfectly well. Something we can relate to, Right, that's how I feel. Thank you. Don't mention it. That's truly how I feel, and I hate it. I want to stop. I want to go home, but I can't. I just can't go home. I don't have it in me to go home. You're afraid of what will happen if you do? I'm beyond afraid. I'm petrified. Can't even breathe right when I think about seeing my parents again. Even though this journey's taking so much away from me, I feel like just giving up and returning home isn't gonna give me any of that back. It isn't. I feel like if I want to get back everything that's been drained out of me, I need to find something. I don't know what, just that it's something I'm searching for. And if I find it, I can go back and live a normal life again. Emmalin sighs. If any of that makes sense to you. I try to assure her. Really, I understand. I'm in the same situation as you. I am. You're a runaway too? I shrug. Something like that, but I can't say much. Oh, that's not suspicious. No, it's nothing like that. I'm not a criminal. That's what a criminal would say. Obviously. I'm not. I'm clean. I need to travel a lot. It's something I have to do. I go from place to place like you, and I search for things. I'm like you. Oh, don't worry. I know you're like me. I don't know if I knew before we started talking, but I definitely know now. I think that's why I've told you so much about myself. I've never spoken so much about myself before, not to anyone. Not in my whole life. I've never spoken much at all, really. So I've heard. What's that? What's the... Again, I mentioned, like, the cliche, shy person. What do we call that in like a... There's a term for it in anime. Dandere? I think it's dandere, right? A kudere. Actually, kudere, right? Kudere? Cool meaning like cold, A cold personality, but then dere, lovey-dovey, So that's alright. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Consider it an apology for me spending the last hour talking about nothing but myself. Sorry about that. I dismiss her with a wave. Really, it's fine. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone like this either. And I'm glad I could help you finally open up about these things. Emmalin beams. It's all thanks to the fact that you liked my singing so much you needed to tell me, huh? I laughed. Well, I did say you have a beautiful voice. And then we talked on and on, long into the night. We tell stories, learn about each other, come to understand everything there is to understand. Still, I don't tell her my secret. Ooh, secrets. But the conversation brims with life anyway. I've not spoken like this to someone in a long time. I've not felt this way about someone in a long time. The night is long and full of joy. We keep each other's company, talking until we're the only ones left in the bar. Under the cover of the winter storm, under the dim bar lights, under the drowsy spell of insomnia, we talk and talk and talk until we can talk no more. Holy hell, you two have been sitting here and talking the whole night long. The bar's closing now, and you're gonna have to head on out. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I hope we weren't a bother. Oh, you're fine, young lady, but you should have this young man escort you home. You've had a long night. But I'm not drunk. I can speak perfectly fine, see? Yes, and it's unnerving, considering how much you've had to drink. The bartender turns to me and gives me a wise, slow nod. Wink, wink. I'll get her home safe. No, does she have a home? Actually, the motel, yeah. Not like a home as in, like a permanent place of residence, but rather where she's sleeping right now. The snow has finally stopped, leaving behind a sleepy town draped in white. The snow is thick, cold, soft like the stuff of dreams. It feels like the ground itself is sleeping, drifting in time and space, and frozen in winter's silence. Dormant, like a slumbering beast waiting to awaken in the snow melt, its heart stilled by seething cold. Like Emmalin and I are the only two waking people on the face of the entire earth. Emmalin grins at me smugly. "Oh, my knight in shining armor. Are you gonna escort me home and protect me from all the evil monsters?" I refuse to play into her game. "Yes, I swear to always safeguard you from the evils that plague the town of Cedar, Maine, sub-zero temperatures and poorly paved roads." They really are so poorly paved. Yes, I've noticed. Your motel is across the bridge, right? My castle, yes. Right. Let's go on ahead. And so we were off. Together we strolled in the cold, huddling close to each other for warmth. Thankfully, the walk wasn't too long. We talked all the way to Emmalin's motel, despite having done nothing but for hours already at the bar. By the way, Emmalin. Yeah, what is it? I was wondering if you knew what the meaning of that song you sang tonight was. The first one, that is. What, Loch Lomond or Loch Lomond? That's the one. Oh, it's Scottish. Aha. That's what I checked before. It is Scottish. That's all I know. My mother taught it to me, just like her mother taught it to her. She taught me a lot of folk music I know, really. I was never as big into heritage as she was. But to answer your question, no. I guess I don't know what it's about. I just sing the words. I'm a folk singer who doesn't know what her songs are about? Well, I like the songs. I love how they sound. I just don't know the traditional meanings behind each and every one of them. I suppose that's fair. But, Loch Lomond, right? Isn't that about two people traveling down different roads? Parallels? Of what's happening right now? At surface value, yes. It all comes back to Scottish tradition. It is believed that when a Scot dies while abroad, their soul will walk the earth to return to their mother country, so that the deceased may rest in their homeland. The road that these wandering spirits use to return to Scotland is called the Low Road, as mentioned in the song. Okay. The regular corporeal roads that living people like you and I use are the high roads. Poorly paved, though. The high road belongs to the living, the low road to the dead. That belief is what the song centers around. That's, a bit depressing, don't you think? Quite the contrary. Think about what the lyrics are saying. He's saying from the perspective of a Scot who has died while traveling in a foreign land. You lament that although the passage of time has taken your friends and your lover away from you, you will finally be able to end your journey and return to your home, where you can finally rest in peace. I don't know. That's still very depressing to me. I don't think so. I think it's bittersweet. The journey of the singer has come to an end, and now that it's over, they can return to where they belong. I don't know. Personally, I love the song. Sometimes I feel I take solace in it. You find comfort in a song that tells you you're gonna die? I do. We all die. Every death is an ending. But what the song tells me is this. When my time comes, it'll be when I have done all I can in my life. I have found what I was searching for, and I would have brought it home with me. It tells me that it will be my end. Not that I will be stuck like I am, unchanging, constantly moving, always searching. This person I am right now is in constant flux, and the days of my life are numbered with a clear beginning and a fateful end. I don't see any problem with that. In fact, considering neither of us have slept all night, some rest sounds exactly what we need right now. Emmalin goes quiet. He takes in everything I say. Yeah, I suppose you're right. We could both use some rest. You know? Or maybe not. Just before we reach the motel, Emmalin stops me in my tracks. He points off to the side of the path, where a small park lies unlit in the snow. Hey. Something wrong? No. She's acting incredibly meek. Did I say something I shouldn't have? There's a cute little park here where I come to sit sometimes. It's on top of a big hill, and if you're seated on the benches, you can watch the sunrise and sunset from here. It's beautiful. I like to sit and watch the sunrise here. With you. Are we gonna pull an all-nighter? If you want to do that. She wants to watch the sunrise with me? We're gonna be very tired the next morning. Emmalin, it's late. It really get you to your room. Emmalin points to the sky. It does look like the sun is about to rise. Violet and pink hues are starting to show in the sky, shining in faint ripples in between the clouds. See? We might as well just stay outside the whole night. She laughs softly. It looks like we just did anyway. She's right. It had completely gone unnoticed, but we had really spent the whole night together. A new day was about to dawn. I had forgotten how quickly time could pass when you're with a certain kind of person. When you're with someone like Emmalin. You're right. Looks like we stayed up the whole night together. I chuckle. We are horribly irresponsible. Emmalin laughs more. Just a little bit. We find a bench overlooking the hillside. I wipe the snow off it with the sleeve of my coat, so we sit down close to each other for warmth. Emmalin pulls herself even closer to me, tugging at my arm. She leans her head on my shoulder and shuts her eyes. You don't mind, do you? I'm so tired. I think I'll rest my eyes for a while until the sunrise starts. Oh, don't accidentally fall asleep. It's fine, I think I'll do the same. I close my eyes and rest my thoughts. It's been a wild night, and I'm so tired. And then they fell asleep and missed the sunrise. No, okay. Hey Emmalin. Yeah? I'm gonna tell you a story. It's a short story, but it's a complicated one. It's an important one. At the end of the story, you're gonna have to decide what happens next. I want you to be completely honest with me when I ask you to do that. Alright? Emmalin yawns. Alright. Alright. I hope I'm making the right choice here. How do I even begin to explain? Say, in the world, there's a young man out there who's been given the gift of eternal youth. At first, that young man was amazed. He was filled with joy. He was forever young, forever handsome, and forever strong. The passage of time had no effect on him. It didn't chip away at him like it did everyone else he knew. He spent some time loving this new life of his, until he realized that the gift he'd been given was, in the end, a curse. Eventually, the young man saw what the passage of time could really do. He saw all the people he cared about wither away, one by one. Family, friends, lovers. He could have done nothing but watch as each and every one of them fell into the grip of death from which he had been spared. He saw the places he knew as a child crumble into dust, forgotten, thrown away like false memories. First he lost his home, then his people, then his own way of life. He was forced to escape, to break out and enter into a new world where he did not belong, felt lost in that new world, hopeless, alone, forgotten. But eventually, he got used to it. He realized there wasn't any point in wallowing in despair at the life he's been given, and so he started to rebuild. He gave himself a new life, a new identity. But he lived knowing there was one thing he could never do. He could never stay in one place for too long. If he did, he knew he would build bonds. He would form memories, with the new places he found and the new people he met. He would make friends. He would feel emotions all over again, in all their full intensity. And that was something he could not afford, because he knew any bond he built would only come crashing down upon him in the end. The more people he came to know, the more people whose departures would hurt him. The more he spent in any one place in the world, the more pain he was damning himself to suffer. He was truly cursed. All he could do was run farther and farther and farther, as far as he go toward infinity. As long as time continued to pass, he suffered the life of a wanderer destined to be alone. But one night, well, he meets someone. And that someone makes him feel some way he's not felt since before his journey ever began. Someone special. Someone like him, who understood him, who felt his pain, who knew how it felt to endure. He thinks he's found someone that could teach him how to love again. But he knows if he stays there with that person he's found, he will only hurt them in the end. Because if he stays with that person, they will age and he will not. They will die and he will not. And in his failure to die, he would rob them their chance at a normal life. He would take their life as his own, and in the end, he will find himself all alone again. What does he do then? What choice does he make? Does he stay or does he leave? Does he chase that chance at true emotion, even if the no's in the end will only cause despair? Tell me, what choice does he make? What choice does he make, Emmalin? What choice do I make? Emmalin? And she's just snoring because she fell asleep. I open my eyes. I see the sun has begun to rise. To my side, Emmalin is fast asleep, of course. That story was for naught. She just fell asleep because it's like a bedtime story. I take a long final look at her. She's so beautiful. Her heartbeat pulses through her skin, through her dress, through her coat, through all the way to me. I can feel it drum steadily against me. I can feel it throb over and over again, full of such amazing life. I watch her, her breath freezing as it comes out into crisp, cold air. Her skin is soft and warm to the touch. I think of her, and how she treated me. A stranger, who hadn't even told her his name, with nothing but kindness. This is a real person beside me, with real heart, pumping real blood. With real emotions and real thoughts, and the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. This is Emmalin, and no matter how greatly I long to be with her, I cannot stay with her, and she cannot stay with me. It was never meant to be. I stand up carefully, holding her still to make sure she doesn't wake up. Once I'm off the bench, I set her down to be as comfortable as I can make her. Thankfully, it's warming up, and I think she'll wake up soon after I leave. Just in case, I take off my coat and wrap it around her to make sure she's warm enough. I glance at the sunrise, out on the horizon. You know, how old exactly are we? You know? I feel like we're way too old for her. Right? But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the law is, or what the morality is. If he's like, I don't know, 100 years old? Even 1,000 years old? Maybe, I don't know, well, 1,000 years old, that's a long time, I don't know. Probably not 1,000 years old. Probably like a century old. Our, I guess, protagonist. I don't know, 100-year-old and a 22-year-old, is that morally acceptable? I guess it depends if you're speaking mental age or physical age. Anyway. I can't bear to look at it too long. I turn back to gaze at her one last time. The girl in the green dress sleeping on the park bench. If only things had been different. Then perhaps I could be happy once more. And how do we obtain our immortality anyway? Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. That's not the point. I begin to walk away. I stop myself from looking back. Emmalin. I'm sorry. Goodbye. I walk away into a wilderness as the sun rises over the trees. I vanish like a ghost from a dream, wiping tears from my eyes. All I leave behind are footprints in the snow that are soon swept away by the winter wind. Oh, I see the date, June 13, 1987. How long has it been? 20 years? I guess, yeah, we're not gonna start a relationship with Emmalin because we know how it ends. It doesn't end good. So, instead, we leave her to her fate. A better fate? Question mark? I don't know. Will she be happier with our protagonist here, or will she be happier without? Who knows? Well, June in Maine is still June. I should be accustomed to walking on baking asphalt by now. I travel light, always have. The weight I carry has nothing to do with what's in my pack. Heavy thoughts are always with me. My memories, constant companions on the road. So many roads, so many paths, so many years. So many lives, it seems. It feels like forever since I was last in Canada. I wonder if it will still feel the same. Raw and wild and seemingly untouched. Well, it depends on where in Canada you are. Something tells me it will always have that feel, no matter how much concrete and glass are poured and polished. I think that memories can be that way too. As the years pass, the details subtly shift, but the feel seems to stay the same. But then again, we can choose to let certain memories fade, if those memories will allow it, of course. I'm aware of my footfalls on the pavement, the undulating drone of insects in the tall grass that parallels the road. I can feel the hot sun on my skin, a gentle harshness to the yellow light. The few clouds in the uniformly blue sky are static and wispy, as though painted onto a canvas. There's no breeze to add energy to my experience. The leaves of the trees are still like the clouds. I'm literally passing through a long series of moments unbroken by motion. Except for me. If I'm the only thing moving, does that mean the world is a canvas I'm little more than a thought passing through? My mind soars across the tapestry of my experiences, touching down at an eyrie of memory, then taking flight again in search of the next place of interest. The miles pass, the sounds and the sun and the grass and the trees blending into a nearly uniform background. It seems as though the only things truly moving are my thoughts. The sensation of that notion intrigues me, distracts me for a while, until a new sound breaks the spell of forever. Time is suddenly back on the clock, and its ticking is the sound of a large diesel engine of an 18-wheeler. I'm ripped out of my reverie and the beautiful monotony of the road, finding myself jarringly present. The driver of a large red truck downshifts as he descends a slow grade, leveling off and closing the distance to me slowly. Black plumes puffing briefly from the twin stacks behind the cab. Well, what the hell. Maybe he'll take a rider for a while. I turn and begin to walk backwards, and stick my thumb in the air. A few short seconds pass, and the driver begins downshifting again, the engine braking, indicating to me that I'm about to replace the drone of insects and the heat of the sun with the rhythm of an engine and the chill of air conditioning. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, the truck passes me slowly, coming to a halt just a few yards later. The hiss of the air brakes and the solid rattling thrum of the engine waiting for me. I walk up to the door as the window smoothly slides down, and I step on the running board of a hand on the mirror brace to render a greeting to who will be my traveling companion for, well, God knows how long. Good morning, sir. Where are you headed? I feel genuinely friendly as the two of us engage in that age-old mutual summing up that travelers have always done, leading to a gut instinct about trust. It takes a mere seconds for us to both to decide. Levis, just south of Quebec City, running straight through Maine. Has an accent straight out of the American Northern Midwest. Oh, okay. I don't know how to do any kind of accent, to be honest, so probably not gonna read it as exactly like that. He looks to be about 50 years old. Can't remember the last time I thought that was old. I guess we're older. How about you? As far as you'll take me, if that's alright, sir. I'll hop in and let's put some miles behind us then, buddy. I swing the heavy door wide and slide in, then set my pack at my feet before closing the window and belting myself in. I never thought about 18-wheelers having a new car smell, but this one did. It was obviously new to the road and very well maintained. Wow, this truck is beautiful. The trucker laughs and then pats the large center console lovingly. Oh, she's not even 3 months old. We're still getting used to each other. The trucker is wearing a gray t-shirt and jeans, and a ball cap with an American flag on the front. He has 2 faded green tattoos, one on each arm. His hair is cut a little on the short side, and he hasn't shaved in a couple of days by the looks of it. I drove my last truck for almost 20 years, but she decided she'd run her last mile. But But she decided that she'd run her last mile. Okay, I was wondering what that meant, but actually, it means that the truck is dead now. Oh no. It still feels a little weird driving without her. The way the trucker spoke about his truck felt instantly familiar, and I found myself nodding in understanding. Not this new one though. I think she and I are gonna be together for the rest of my time on the road. So, where do you go home? Are you sitting in it? I've been living on the road and out of motels for years. Being gone so much was never a good fit for my home life, and besides, a bit of a wanderlust. I can relate. I bet you can. As far as you're from, anywhere. The trucker spoke while he smoothly shifted gears, the powerful truck pulling its load effortlessly, the vibrations of the huge engine absorbed by surprisingly comfortable seats. The AC felt rejuvenating too. Yeah, I've been traveling for most of my life. First in the army, then when I got home from the war, I just couldn't sit still. Been on the road ever since. I tend to stick around the place for a while myself, and it just feels like it's time to go, I guess. Yep, I know what you mean, buddy. Once I got home from the war, I never really felt like I fit in, no matter how much I wanted to. I didn't understand why, and I figured I'd find what I was looking for on the road. And did you? To be honest, I'm not sure, but I did find happiness. That's what all the hippies were always talking about. I guess at least I found something. Yeah, hippies. I think she mentioned before, Emily mentioned like a protest and a war in the 60s. I think that was the Vietnam War, right? If I'm not mistaken. Well, 20 years after that, I'm assuming that's over now. I think there's a certain freedom to keep moving. Let your time to think, that's for sure. I drive and I feel like resting, I stop. As long as I stay on schedule, nobody pays me much mind, and that's just fine with me. As the trucker shared a bit of his life with me, I watched the coiled cord for the CB radio set sway. Plenty of time to think. Trucker and I really do seem to have a lot in common. Sometimes I think I probably missed out on quite a bit of life though, to be honest. I mean, I have a family, and I keep up with them well enough. So I sort of let them live more normal lives for me, if that makes any sense at all. Well, it makes a lot of sense. I tried a normal life a few times, but I always end up back on the road in the end, waiting for the next stop. Well, you gotta think about driving trucks. Seems like you're a good fit for it. Better than walking all the time, that's for sure. Yeah, I guess we've been just walking the whole time. I've never considered it, to be honest, but I see your point. I'm not sure if the pace would feel quite right, though. Walking has such a familiar feel to it for me now. I'm not sure I would like to change. Most people are creatures of habit, you can't deny that. In a way, being a drifter is a habit too. I can't disagree, although for me, as much as a need as it is a habit, no matter how much I like a place, I just can't stay. Eventually, it's time to go, whether I like it or not. Well, some of us just aren't meant to put down deep roots, buddy. The deeper the roots, the harder it is to tear yourself away when it's time to leave. I imagine you're right about that. The conversation falls into a comfortable silence, the world outside passing by. My eyes move to the distance ahead, taking in the slow approach of forests and roadside meadows and following the minor, gradual turns as the road makes its way northward. Looking out the side window and focusing a little closer reveals how fast we're really going. The trees more of a blur, the details outside more elusive and difficult to focus on. It's about perspective, really. Looking forward into the future, things seem further away, moving more slowly. You can take your time to consider it, to think about where you might be going. Looking around at where you are in the moment, that feels much more fleeting. The pace is quicker. It can be difficult to fully notice all the details before things change. Fleeting. Hakunai. The past, however, is always there, frozen in memory. You have the rest of your life to think about it, reflect upon it. In my case, there's plenty of time to think about the past. Too much time, actually. Yeah, I wonder how that works. If you're immortal, does your brain, stay immortal as well? Or does it also grow with you? Because otherwise, it's kind of hard to make new memories, right? Beyond normal human lifespan, right? I wonder, how's that work? I wish that I had the luxury of living in the moments without the specter of future always looming in the background. Always knowing that no matter what, I always have to leave. People living their lives so often seem to be able to appreciate things in the moment as so long as they slow down a bit, building memories at their natural pace. For them, there is a beginning and an end, the middle part of his life. I would like to take my time for once. Many people say they feel rushed. I feel the opposite. An inexorable, as I say it, an inexorable expiration of each period of normal. They have a finite amount of life, and I can live normally within the time that are given, whereas I, with nothing but time, struggle. Perspective affects the way we live. The passing of time, I think, does too. No matter what happens, I always end up gradually losing sync with everyone around me. Relationships, friends, co-workers. Every time I find a good place, a good thing, the clock starts ticking. The longer I stay, the louder the ticking, the more out of sync I become, and the deeper my roots could reach. Eventually, I must move on. I rip myself out of that life, tearing others in the doing, and leave that normalcy behind forever, as well as the emotional wreckage shared with people who will never understand why. I know deep down inside that it is best to avoid making any meaningful connections because I will have to move on, and I hate myself for making anyone share that pain. They don't deserve it. But once in a while, the connection just happens. I wish that I could just enjoy simple human experience without the inevitability that shadows or with something that what should be something beautiful, something simple and warm. Always that damn shadow. Always. I'm lost in thought, traveling through time in my own head. An all too familiar name, a name that I've been desperately trying not to think about, demands that its presence be known. Emmalin? Emmalin. I speak it out loud, now realizing that the trucker might hear it over the sound of the engine. Emmalin, huh? Is she why you've been lost outside the window for the past hour? His half-smile is simultaneously knowing and wry. I exhale an empty laugh. I wonder if he isn't right about that. The trucker lets the moment sit for a few seconds, then cocks an eyebrow. Yeah, what happened to Emmalin? I mean, I thought, actually, when the protagonist thought about Emmalin, he just, like, said it out loud, but I was thinking maybe, like, there's a radio, right? So, maybe Emmalin became famous, became a professional singer and all that, maybe? You know? I don't know. And maybe, you know, hearing her sing would have, like, sparked his memories of Emmalin, but that wasn't it. It was just him just remembering the name Emmalin in general. But yeah, the trucker lets the moment sit for a few seconds and then cocks an eyebrow. It's funny. Much as I love my old truck, I never gave her a name. Some truckers do, the sentimental ones anyway. I wonder why I never named her. At first I thought that he had dropped his interest in Emmalin's name in my contemplation, but as the trucker spoke, I realized that he wasn't delving into his fellow traveler's life, he was sharing the journey. I was closer to that old truck than I was with anyone. I do admit that I had plenty of conversations with her, though. All the time, actually. She was a pretty good listener, that's for sure. But it's funny. The war, my buddies and I stopped using first names. We came up with nicknames, things like that. Seemed at the time we were all just close, you know? But I wonder if maybe it was something else. Maybe it was a way for us not to get too close, after all. Makes me wonder, you know? I think on that for a minute. That girl in the green dress captivated me. She unassumingly commanded my attention. There's something about her that just drew me in, captivated me. But when I learned her name, it became personal, intensely personal. We shared such a connection. And then I had to go. I had no choice. I cared too much for her to put her through what would have to come, but always has to come. I don't know. It's like, who would be sad when you're the immortal one, right? Who would be more sad? Wouldn't it be you instead? In which case, is that like a selfish thought? Are you saving her from feeling sadness, or are you saving yourself? Mr. Protagonist. I care for her. It only took one night and a name. I think you may be just be onto something there, sir. We both spent the next few hours in total silence, except for a brief stop for fuel, roadside coffee, and a bathroom break. 2 travelers sharing a journey. It was a good day. The sun was beginning to show the age of the day. Trees were beginning to cast shadows over the road. The roadsides are beginning to reflect that golden sunlight so characteristic of long summer days. Cedar, 30 miles. Damn it. I shifted in my seat and watched the sign as it approached with increasing speed, my eyes following it as it passed by. Cedar, Maine. Now that's one of those towns that you'll miss if you blink too long. You look like you recognize it? I sigh and nod. You know, that coffee sure is running through me. I think we'll try not to blink when we get to Cedar so I can enjoy the last civilized bathroom for hours. Cedar, damn it. Takes no time at all to get there. Not enough time to think. Not enough time to talk myself out of the decision fighting to make its way to the surface of my mind. The truck comes to a gradual stop and a gravel pull-off. Heavy tires crunching, air brakes squealing, engine slowing to an idle, everything slowing down. The trucker sets the brake and cuts the engine off, a shudder through the big vehicle implying a little more than a brief stop. He lifts the door latch and half opens the door, one foot reaching for the running board. I'll be a little bit, so feel free to stretch your legs. There's a hint of something in his voice, almost a knowing tone. This guy really is intuitive for having spent so much time alone on the road. Goes with the territory, I suppose. I'll see you in a bit, buddy. There's a hint of a wry, crooked smile on the trucker's face. I'm certain he knows that I am connected to Cedar, and that it is because of Emmalin. Maybe not. The trucker's boots grind into the gravel as he heads off, leaving me to choose which fork in the road to take. I woke up this morning expecting to walk all day, possibly more. The truck lumbered along, and for a while I rolled with another traveler in my thoughts. It's interesting that despite the seemingly rammed-ness of today, I still wound up in Cedar. Exactly where my thoughts were leading me, apparently. To stare to go. While I consider what I should do, I shoulder my pack. I shut the heavy door of the big red machine as I recall the layout of the little town, quietly waiting before me. Back here again. As I try to decide what to do, I begin walking along the single main road through Cedar. Trees are thick here, providing ample shade interspersed with patches of waning sunlight. I pass the general store on the right. I need to make a choice. I look up and see the path to the bench that overlooks the sunrise. It hits me. Did I ever really have a choice today? My path was leading back to Cedar one way or another. Road, the trucks, my thoughts. All of it led to Cedar. Cedar. I veer left, cross the road, and step out into the wooden stairs to the hearth and home. The steps have a reassuring, organic feel to them, oddly rustic and welcoming. I can feel warmth radiating from the sun-soaked bricks. I think I'm going to give this a shot. It's almost as though fate led me here, and on some instinctive level, I get the feeling that I was heading here all along. My hand closes around the old wrought iron door handle as the sound of the truck's engine passes by, followed by the bellow of an air horn. As the trucker continues on his own path, the surrounding forest swallows up the roar of the engine, and as suddenly as they were there, they are gone again. There is a magic to this place. I open the door and step into the cool darkness. Well, just back to the bar.